What's up, guys? Welcome to the hottest, newest, brand new, introducing Tangent Podcast, the least watched podcast on the internet. Thanks for watching.
Okay, Mr. Monopoly Man, are we done?
No, you have to provide more content.
Jesus Christ, we get a demon! Jeffrey, what do we do?
I got a cold, okay? My voice usually didn't sound like this.
Oh.
Usually I sound like this.
Oh, I thought that you had like some kind of demonic, shit going on in your throat. I mean...
No, did you see my picture? That was leaked.
Yes,
It was done
yes,
with,
we get it.
MSP.
Yeah, we saw your Tinder profile pitch.
All the thoughts, love.
Oh God. Yeah, of course, they're only thoughts, Mr. Monopoly Man. Well, Jeff,
If she breathes, she's a thought.
Best intro.
Yeah. So, Jeff, how's your week been going for you before we get started?
It's been a fairly normal week. I've been applying for colleges, watching anime, and basically having like a personal awakening. So
Okay.
but otherwise it was a fairly normal week. I've been playing Persona 4, which is good, but we'll get onto that more later. All that stuff. How about you?
Well, similar. This is my it's been actually a very exciting week for me. In some ways. I mean, for one, this is the week that is my last week working. This is also this is the first job I ever had, and it's also the week that I say goodbye, and it's kind of sad in some ways. But on the same note, this Monday I escaped jury duty. All right, it was I got part of the, everyone has to come in. All right, everyone has to come in. Luckily, I found this one trick to keep all the lawyers from picking me at all. And even if they didn't pick...
This one cool trick will keep lawyers off your back for 6 years.
I will.
Find out more.
I will tell everyone. But there's this other secret trick I'm going to keep at the end, because this is like nuclear option. It's kind of... I didn't even use it, all right? But on top of that, also it's been a great week for me in the sense that now that it's coming close to time for me to go, I have been applying. I applied to the UCF. I got accepted. And now...
Wow, dropping to college.
Yeah. I think we should just make it obvious that, who our names are. I'm not going to, I'm going to be more or less... It's kind of odd that I'm the more privacy-oriented person, but I'm more okay with people knowing my identity, as a person. So, I'm going to UCF, whatever.
Wow, we live in Florida.
Yeah.
People are going to track us
down. Oh, no, the only people that know us... are gonna know where we live.
Yeah. What's it called? So yeah, I can't say I'm not a bit sad that you're leaving town.
Yeah.
Going to UCF. Oh shit. Drop the fact that we don't live in the same town as UCF. What town even is that?
Orlando.
Gainesville or something? Orlando. Oh yeah, it's okay. Sorry, a friend of mine was going to UF, and that's in Gainesville.
Yeah.
What's it called? But yeah, because all my friends are leaving town and I'm the only one here anymore. But hey, at least I still got the podcast, right? I can still talk to one of my friends.
And hey, we can, if they have Discord, we can just invite them later on and just have them on the show.
Yeah, guests and all that. Funnily enough, I had a little side tangent here. My brother's birthday was this month.
Oh, yeah,
I remember. It was a few weeks ago. I'm not going to say the exact date. What's it called? And we had a late party for my family because a lot of them had scheduling issues and couldn't do it on his birthday. So they came over, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I don't remember exactly, but they came over, and my grandfather walks in, my grandpa, and he has a very thick southern accent. And he walks in and sees my microphone and my computer and goes what are you doing with all that? And I say, I'm doing this podcast. And he says, a podcast, what's that? I explain it to him because he's kind of old,
right.
He doesn't know what that is. and he says that he wants to be on it to like tell his life story, and he's like laughing about it because he's just starting to tell stories already.
Mm-hmm.
So the bad thing about it though is his accent's so thick that it's almost hard for me to understand, and I was born and raised here.
Shoot.
So
I don't know. There should be a translator in Google.
Huh?
Wait, shouldn't that should be?
Yeah.
Google, get on that. I mean, I'm giving them free marketing material. This is stuff that you can use to get more data, like track your accent in English and then see if you can decipher it.
Yeah, like speaking of accents, some like really thick English accents, like for like Scottish people and stuff like that, it almost sounds like another language.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that's to be expected because they had their own language of like, Scottish and Irish and stuff like that. That sort of just mixed with English when it came in. But even then, it sounds almost foreign, or like a South African accent or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I just think that, especially like those countries, you kind of just got assimilated into it. So, but you still have your own distinct part of it. Like the North, I would argue is more like, I would say it's more Germanic in the North.
I would say so, yeah. Or kind of French too, because those were some of the biggest groups there. Well, the Northeast is more Irish because that's where a lot of those. But the Northeast is very diverse because New York is huge. But speaking from personal experience, well, not personal experience, it's like family experience. My family comes from Germany, and they moved with all the other German immigrants up to like north
Uganda,
U.S. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, definitely. Do you know there? Oh God,
don't.
No.
It was good while it lasted, but
no, it was always trash, and that's what makes it.
That's
great.
the thing. It was good before it became too like saturated. Like it was a little trash. It was like your chips, It was like fries. You had a little bit of it. It was fun, but now everyone has it, and it's like whatever.
Yeah, that might just be the hipster talking.
We're just true hipsters.
Like I was saying, a lot of like German people moved up there, and having gone up there to my family's old house, because my family lived in like the middle of the woods because they were really poor. Mm-hmm. The people up there, their accents were so odd, and funny thing, we went like horseback riding and some other stuff up there.
Oh, cool!
And when we were renting the horses, they were like, "Where are you guys from?" And we said, "Oh, we're from Florida." And they said, "Oh, you guys sounded like you were from England," which was a bit odd to me because I don't think Southern and English sound the same.
Yeah,
but that's that.
That's kind of weird, but whatever.
But yeah, moving on because that point's kind of done with. I wanted to talk a bit about this sort of personal awakening.
Your spiritual awakening.
Not really. It's kind of hard to explain.
Okay.
So I'll just start from the beginning. Basically, for years now, since I was probably 10 or 11, I had always been sort of afraid of myself in a way, because as a kid, because I got bullied at school and such, I had some anger problems, but I was sort of afraid of that anger because whenever it would come out, it would hurt people near me. And one thing that really did it was when I was younger, my brother was afraid of me. He was afraid of my anger, and I sort of hated that about myself and sort of pushed it down. And I did that with a lot of my emotions, and for years I just wanted to be like a robot because I thought emotions were the problem in my life and they were the cause of everything bad.
Right. And I understand.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, my brother's been trying to coax me out of that for like a year, 2 years now. But I figured out that those parts of me that I had pushed down for so long, they weren't something else. They weren't like a virus that was inside of me. They are me, and I am them. And I just sort of came to terms with that a little while ago, but I didn't know what to do with that. I knew that my anger, my sadness, my sort of more primal instincts, all of that which I'd pushed down for so long because I saw it as bad is me, but I didn't know what to do about it. And then I realized with my brother's help that I have to use these things that I'd pushed down for so long for something positive, turn my negative into a positive. Basically, well, I'll go into the different parts of my personality which I see that I had pushed down. Starting with my anger, which I already talked about. I was afraid of it. I was afraid of my own power, my own emotions, because I couldn't control them.
Well, why then?
And why was I afraid of them?
Well, not so much like that, but more like, why did you feel like you couldn't control it?
Because I would bottle them up, and when I got angry, I would force myself to not be angry, to hold back, and to not do anything. Like, if I get bullied at school,
oh yeah, definitely,
then I wouldn't do anything about it. I would just keep my anger to myself, and in the end, like it's a glass bottle, it would shatter under enough pressure from the inside. And I was afraid of that happening because whenever it did, I would hurt those around me. Not physically, but sort of emotionally. I would lash out at those nearest to me, which almost always ended up being my family. And I could see that they didn't like that in me. They were afraid of that, or they just hated that in me. Well, hate's a strong term. I would say dislike.
I understand what you mean, man. I mean, it's just something that comes with it, because whenever I just noticed that, like, whenever you grow up, most of the people tell you that you gotta like hold everything in, or like you gotta channel it out, or move it somewhere, or just like don't get too angry, or people get like afraid of you. And it's kind of like, it's the natural part of you. It's like when people are, one of the things I don't like is people who are like forced to smile, because it's so fucked up in my opinion, man. Because it's like, if you don't want to smile, you're not happy, you don't need to force yourself. It feels hard, it feels painful to watch, you know? It's like, because like coming from you, when you're like holding all that anger, you want to like let it out, but you're afraid of people, you know, you're afraid that people will take it the wrong way, or you're afraid you'll hurt them and you won't be able to take back what you've done, but you feel like there's no other way to let it out.
Yeah, and for so long I just thought, if I bottle this up, if I try not to feel it, it'll go away. But now I see, you know, I have to let it out, otherwise it'll just get worse. And I thought that my anger was like a curse almost, something that had been put on me by what had been done. But I realized that part of that might be true. I probably wouldn't be as angry if my life had been a bit different, but that I just have to embrace this as who I am and use it in a better way, rather than bottling it. Let it out and let it, I don't know, just use it for a better end.
Well, how do you want to use it?
If you understand what I'm saying. Well, I'll get to that, but I want to cover the other aspects first, of what I see as my repressed feelings. Next is my sort of sadness or guilt. I had felt sad because I felt like a outsider. Well, I still do. I feel like people don't understand me, that I don't belong anywhere, and that no one really likes me, that no one loves me. And my guilt is sort of over the things that I do while angry. How people are afraid of me, the things I've done, the things I can't take back, the things I've said. And for a long time, I was okay to just sit in these feelings. I was thinking, if I just sit in this sadness and keep it all within myself, then no one else will have to deal with it. No one else will have to feel the way I feel right now. But I see that even being that way, people aren't stupid. They can tell when someone's sad and it still affects them. But if I tell someone else how I'm feeling, we can work through it together and we both end up happier in the end. But that sort of sadness is what I tried to use as a calming for the other two parts, rage and what I'm getting to now, which is what I call instinct. Instinct is sort of, I don't know, almost it's the baser parts of myself. It's unthinking. It's the hardest one to explain. It's very happy, but it's almost manic. This part is the part that I push down the most because I was really afraid of this part because it's a complete loose cannon. It's it kind of just does what it wants. It's hard to explain without seeing it in person.
Is it kind of like you know those like Jokers and were they just like manically happy, or they just go unrestrictedly, you know, do their own thing?
Basically it's me just letting go of everything that like of holding myself back. It's very happy, but it's also very childlike. It's kind of my inner child as well, because when I was a kid I didn't feel like a child because I had to mature, you know, for my brother, because I was supposed to be his like role model. And just to sort of deal with the world, I thought being an adult would make it better. But it's almost like my inner energy as well, because it's extremely energetic, and I had kept that sort of locked up inside my mind for so long that it would just break out at times and cause problems. Like, for example, there was so about a year ago, I think, or 6 months ago, I was driving over to see my grandpa, who had just moved into town. He lived up north and he had moved into Florida. And I was driving over and my dad calls me and asks what the password is to my computer. I tell him it, and then he calls me 10 minutes later saying he changed my password because he couldn't get in. And I get pretty pissed at that because I don't like people tampering with my stuff. I didn't even like him really being on my computer. But him changing my password without telling me just really pissed me off. And at that point, I had been caging up this sort of, well, for lack of a better term, instinct for a long time, for months at that point. And it sort of just broke out. And I was driving down the highway at like 30 miles over the speed limit, trying to like race this guy next to me. And it was extremely reckless. But it was just this unthinking search for speed, for fun, to just let everything go. And I don't know. I don't feel like that's the best explanation. But like I said, it's kind of hard to explain that side of me without seeing it. But these three parts, I pushed them down because I was afraid of what they would do. And a while ago, I just realized that these aren't other people. These aren't other...
They're parts of you,
these are,
you know?
Yeah, they are me, and I accepted that. But as you were trying to ask before, what am I going to do about this? I'm basically going to use all three of these to push what I want to see in the world. What I hate most in the world is people who think that they're better than others. People who think that they're better than other human beings, think that they're superior. And that's what I hate most, and I want to use these repressed feelings I have and let them out to show others that they're just as human as me. Because I know that these parts of me are still me, but I don't enjoy them being there. I mean, I wish I was a better person, and I will try to be a better one. But if I can use these negative emotions to show others that they're just as human as me, then that's my sort of mission, you know? And it's not just a mission against other people, it's also a mission against my own fear. Because the reason this took so long, the reason it took most of my life, is because I was afraid. My fear would tell me, oh, you shouldn't let your anger out because you're going to hurt someone. You shouldn't let your sort of manic instinct out because you're a loose cannon. You shouldn't let your sadness control you because you're going to want to go jump in traffic or something. My enemy in life is those people I talked about, the ones who feel superior, but also against myself and my fear. And that's sort of what I'm seeing for the future. But I also, it's not just a thing of I want to pull people down. I also want to show other people that they shouldn't be afraid of who they are, and to see that these negative feelings inside of them aren't a curse. They aren't something that you should try to stamp out wholesale. To understand that there's two sides to every coin. A person can't be all good, they can't be all bad. You're a mixture. You can't just search for one of them. Yeah, I explained that a lot better in my head, but that's the gist of it.
I mean, like, I wanted to say that this kind of reminds me of like the show Mr. Robot, and I'm going to show you a picture of like one of the scenes there. Essentially, this guy, Elliot, kind of goes to the same problem as you, whereas he feels like he has like basically someone would call it schizophrenia, but essentially the main problem with him is that he has, you know, his own self insecurities, yet also the part that everyone accept him as, like, as him, you know, just a regular hacker or, you know, just programmer. But on the other hand, he also has like the kind of more like alive part of him that's more manic, that's more like more aggressive and also afraid. But he is afraid of letting that part of him out, and at many times he kind of rejects it and tries to keep it away. And like for the longest time, he tried to like kill it by taking so many antidepressants, so that way he wouldn't even feel it anymore. But eventually, he came to the point where he was talking to his therapist, where I think this is like probably the one part I wanted to talk to you, that she said that this is something that we have to accept is a part of yourself, and we have to give this being inside of you more credit and, you know, justification that it deserves to be part of this world. And I think, Jeffrey, that maybe what you're all trying to describe is that you're now giving yourself those parts of you more credit to be alive. And
yeah,
I think what you're trying to say is that those parts of you and other parts of, you know, other people deserve that same chance to be expressed, but they just have a hard time because either afraid of being like, you know, rejected, or at the same time, you know, a fear of hurting other people, but at the same time they deserve to be let know.
Yeah, and that's, you explained it better, but now that you said that, I have more words. These parts of me, they've always been with me, and I've used them to a certain degree. Like, my anger sort of pushes me forwards because I'm angry at others, I'm angry at myself, and I have to keep pushing forwards. My sort of sadness would keep me grounded and not become what I'm fighting against, so I don't become egotistical, I don't become self-centered. I know who I am, and my sort of more baser instincts keep me, I don't know, alive, happy. But like another thing, it's like in my mind, it's almost like a branch. Like these three parts of me that I'd pushed down in our earlier episode, masks. I sort of talked about this as well. How I would wear these masks of what people wanted me to be. These three, like a tree almost, they would split into branches of masks, and those masks are also a part of me, at least a small part. And when I was thinking about all this, part of me wanted to throw away those masks and to just show the world only me, like only what I thought the true me was. But those masks are also me, and I can use them to my advantage. I need those masks to be fully me, because they're still connected. It's kind of hard to explain.
Well, it kind of reminds me of Hotline Miami.
Yeah, almost. Like, the masks are an extension of myself. Like, for example, when I'm around family, like during the family gathering I had a few days ago for my brother's birthday, I wore this mask of general happiness, not over enthusiastic happiness, but just like okay, because I was afraid to show my true self and how I was actually feeling, which is mostly like, ugh, I don't want these people here, I want to go watch anime or something.
No, I'm sorry, go on.
It's
just that there's a transition of how many years it got to you to say that phrase, but yeah.
Yeah. What's it called? But that mask was me too. It was sort of an extension of that sort of manic instinct, but in a more calm form. And I realized that even though those might be hiding my true emotions, I'm still projecting an emotion out that has to come from within me. It can't be fake. What I'm saying is, I don't know, I think I make a good liar because I convince myself that it's true. These masks show a part of me, even though I think they don't.
So do you think you're lying to yourself?
Somewhat, yes. When I put on a mask, if you know me very well, you can tell. Because I'll start like, I asked my brother about this, and I asked, how can you tell when I put a mask on? He says that my posture will change, my face will change, my voice will change too, and I'll just act like a different person because I'm basically assuming that personality based on what I need to do. And I don't think that's such a terrible thing because I just think it's a useful tool. It is sort of lying to myself, but not fully, because I still feel like these masks are a creation of myself, if you get what I mean.
Right.
But they're sort of like a facade that I put on.
No, I completely understand. I think everyone goes through these kinds of things where we kind of like, oh, I'm like, today I'm going to be the happy, responsible young son that my parents would be proud of. And, when I'm out on the town and no one's watching me, I'm going to be the person I always wanted to be inside, but I don't want other people to know. Mm-hmm. Or when you're by yourself watching, your TV, you're like just the lazy guy who doesn't care much about life other than like this one thing right now. It's just different parts of you. But obviously there's some parts of it that are judged better than others. And because of that, it kind of makes it where you have to like sacrifice parts of you to become like normal. And I like this phrase. I don't know where I heard this, but it was like something I heard from like some kind of quote about prostitutes. And essentially it was that everyone sells parts of themselves every single day, but we sell different pieces. And that can be, our bodies, that can be our attention, who we care about, those masks that we play. And overall we just kind of like in this whole world of exchanging, parts of ourselves for something that we want or just something to keep.
Yeah, but I sort of feel a new determination to wear my masks less and to be me, because I have to fight against this fear of showing my true self to others. Because if I show who I truly am, then there's no hiding. I can't hide within these masks. I can't wear them as like a disguise to others. I have to show my true face because I want to embolden others to do the same. I don't like wearing the masks. It's hiding who I am, and I don't like that others do it as well.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I know, but it's something to keep me going. I want to see the world be more open with itself, more truthful. I feel like we all sit in this pool of lies and we're all okay with it because it's just how things are. But I just want things to change and to be more honest, because I think honesty is one of the greatest things that we can do as people, but everyone's so afraid to do it because of the consequences that come with it. But you just have to boldly step forwards. So, like, someone has to be the first one. And if I can inspire others to be who they really are, to be the them that they want to be, then I'll do that.
So I have a question then. Do you think that there's any merit to people like trying to hide parts of themselves? Like, do you think it's somewhat okay?
Can you try to specify a bit more?
Well, let's say that, let's take for the example that we have a person that is very kind-hearted and, tries to be very helpful to everyone, but when he's alone, he's much more, selfish, and not like selfish in so much of a bad way, but he cares more about his own well-being, or at the very least tries to act more into his interests. Do you think that is necessarily bad to do something like that?
I wouldn't say hide that. I would say merge it with that other side of yourself. And don't try to mask or throw away that side of yourself. Just know when to use it. For example, I know that I have this sadness, this anger, this primal instinct inside of myself, but I'm not going to be using all of them at the same time. That would just be like a clusterfuck. I just know what to use at the correct time. For example, when a situation calls for it, I will let my anger sort of take the reins, if you understand. Sort of, I don't know, when I get into a very emotional state, it feels like these sort of parts of myself take control and I'm just sort of there. I know it sounds like I'm like a crazy person, but it's kind of how I visualize it in my head. Like, for example, I'll go driving with my brother, and if a really like a fast song, like the one I've been listening to recently is that song Gas Gas Gas. When that comes on, I sort of feel this instinct, that sort of side of me come over, and who just wants speed, who wants that exhilaration, and I know what side of that to use. So in your example, that person just needs to know when to be selfish. You can't be selfless at all times. I learned that as well, because I thought being selfish in any degree was a bad thing, but you have to be selfish somewhat. Otherwise, you can't help others if you don't help yourself sometimes. So my advice to that person would be, yes, be selfish, but also don't forget how selfless you are. Just use them at the correct times. Don't hide that from the world, because if you hide that, it'll only make things worse. You'll bottle it up and it'll come out and hurt those around you. Let it out.
Alright, sounds good, man. Well, that covers tangent therapy time for today.
Yeah, it's not really therapy, it's more me just, I don't know, getting things off my chest. I do have to give a big shout out to my brother. He really pushed me to, I don't know, understand all of this. And I do have to give a big shout out to music as well, because music, it's sort of, I don't know, music really affects my emotional state, and I can listen to certain songs and then feel a feeling afterwards. For example, like I said earlier, if like Gas 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 comes on, I'll sort of feel this primal urge to go fast, to be speedy, to get that sort of raw excitement. While say a sad song comes on, I'll get sad. And I know that doesn't sound like unique or anything, but the sort of music that I listen to also helped me find this out about myself. If I had to name 2 songs that really helped, I would say, I'm gonna put this on the screen share right now, this one from Gurren Lagann. If anyone knows it, it's the
Fight the Power. That one's so good.
Yeah, the sort of opera parts I see as my sort of fear and my doubts holding me down, and the sort of rap parts as my inner feelings sort of combining to push against that. Because when I listen to this song, I feel one-minded. I feel like all of my feelings, all of my emotions, all these sides of myself combine in one single purpose to fight against what I see as wrong in the world. Another one I would say would be Through the Fire and the Flames, because it's sort of all about perseverance and pushing on. And that's one thing that's really important to me, is to never give up, to never surrender, because if you give up, then nothing will change. I mean, even if things look hopeless, you still got to keep pushing on. Yeah, so music is really, really good for me, but my brain's sort of slowing down because my train of thought.
Well, I want to take this moment to talk about like some of the things that I kind of resonate with. Main thing, but this is something that I kind of like had to go through for a while, more recently, and it's just more of like kind of getting ready for like a new chapter in my life. And this is more of the fact that like I just want to go on a new tangent talking about going to school. Part of me feels like excited as always, but at the same time I'm as nervous as fuck about going to like to my school at UCF. And I'm trying to study computer science. Now, one of the things about computer science is that it involves a lot of math, like in the schoolwork, and at the same time, it involves like a lot of lower level programming, like C programming, and also higher level languages like Java. All this is kind of like, you know, what does this matter? Well, the biggest thing is that I have like this really like, I'm not really good at math as much as other people, or as much as I like to be, because I mean, sure, I'm comparing myself on a like a different like level how I see what is good at math, because to me, unless I feel like I'm in like my friend, you know, in Kosi, I don't feel like I'm anywhere as good as math. And at the same time, when I was going to applying to UCF, my even my mother was like please, can you let him into this program so that way, I mean, he's good at other stuff, but he's not good at math. It was just kind of like, I feel so nervous that I'm putting a lot of trust from a lot of people into this year, because I for the longest time I have like a really bad experience with it, mostly because I had like really crappy teachers, or really, you know, just the way that they're being taught. And because of that, like, most of the anxiety I feel about going to school is caused because of math and science. And for some reason I thought, and I'm not totally regretting it, but I thought that I should do this because it is hard and it's something I need to get over in order for me to like move on. But at the same time, I'm fucking nervous because, like, you have to understand, one of the things that like kills a GPA is a math and science grade, and I'm not even good at that. And I feel that, you know, going into this year, I feel like somehow I'm making a mistake, but at the same time, I feel like I'm making the right decision for myself, because I know that going to this place will put me in line with a lot of the people that will help me out, especially when I force myself to be in like this tutoring. But at the same time, I feel that I'm on like walking on like a thinner ice than I usually am. And it's kind of getting even worse because today, for example, I was late to work and I didn't even know I was, because I didn't think I was gonna have work today. I thought like, okay, I have a day off, and I was coming off of like, you know, doing some jury duty, and I'll talk about that later. But I thought like, you know, just a little while ago, probably like 6 hours ago, I was just laying down on the sofa, just relaxing, kind of like about to take a nap. And then I get a call from my boss, like, hey, are you coming in today? It's like, why am I coming in? It's like, oh, it says you're here scheduled from 1 to 5. I'm like, wait, what? 1 to 5? I don't remember putting that on my calendar. And it's like, oh no, it's right here. Hey, if you can come in here as soon as possible, that'd be great. And I was so like, you know, embarrassed, really. So I said, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And I was running upstairs, and my mom was like, what's going on? It's like, oh, apparently I had work today. And she was like, Yjang, I'm so disappointed in you. You better, I hope you showered, because you better head straight to work. And as I was leaving, one of the things she says, like, how are you going to be able to get through college? And that, like, even though it isn't like hurting me, but it's just more of like, I'm really starting to question, like, how the hell am I going to get?
Listening to all this, it just seems like you really need to sit down and, well, one thing that I like to do when I get really stressed out is just to sit down and just clear my mind and think about it, because all this rushing, all this stressing, it's not gonna help. Feeling nervous isn't gonna help you. You need to sit down and you need to calm down so you can look at things clearly. But my advice for you is just to have confidence, really, because your mom said that because she's worrying about you because she sees, oh, he knew he had work today and he just blew it off and now he's rushing. He's just pushing things off. And she's thinking, how is he going to get through college if he does everything like this at the last minute when that wasn't the way it was? I mean, I know you as a person and you're not the one to just push things off till the last day, usually. But you just really need to have confidence in yourself because you earned your way into this college. What I'm saying is, it was all you. You're the one who did this, and you have to acknowledge that. And I'm not saying get a fat head about it, but you just have to not let all these negative emotions, all this stress, all this doubt keep you down. You have to push beyond that. You have to know that you can do better. That, yeah, math and science is hard, especially math. Like, even for me, math is my worst subject. I do not like it. But I'm not going to let that hold me down. I'm not going to let myself saying it's my worst subject because my brain thinks, why even try? It's my worst subject. I know I'm going to do bad. I'll pass with a C or something. You got to push yourself beyond that. And even though sometimes you think you can't do that, you just have to have confidence in yourself that you can. Because I know that you're smart and I know that you can do that. It's just you have to realize that about yourself.
This feels like a Gurren Lagann reference.
Huh? Oh yeah, that show helped me find confidence in myself. So.
Yeah, maybe I need to rewatch it and just remember that last phrase that Communist said before he died.
But I mean, I meant what I said. It's how I feel.
Yeah.
You just have to sit down and think about what you're gonna do and what you're doing, but you also can't be held down by your fear.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it's just mostly I'm used to being under pressure, and that happens naturally. And I understand that I'm a person that juggles a lot of things at once. But I don't know. Sometimes it's just hard for me to sit down because a lot of things just happen so fast. And part of me feels like if only I could, work faster or work smarter, then I don't have to worry about this. But part of me also understands that even if I do, work faster and, smarter, more stuff is just going to jump in my hand anyway. So, I don't know. Maybe this is a little time for me to just, maybe I need to just sit down and just, I don't know, meditate. I haven't done that in ages.
That's usually what I do. Like the other day, my brother was dealing with a lot of emotions and stuff. He went to a town nearby, but it rained. But it rained and it wasn't what we expected, and the trip sort of went a bit bad. I mean, we were only there for a few hours, but he was kind of upset about it. But I was feeling, I was thinking things like, well, at least we had some fun. We got some ice cream. But while we were there, we were sitting on a bench, and there were these kids who were from some Asian country. They barely knew any English, and they just sort of looked at us and laughed. And I don't know why. Maybe we looked weird to them. Maybe us just sitting on a bench eating ice cream was funny to them. But I wasn't really affected by it because I'm sort of tough to that sort of thing. But my brother was pretty heavily affected, and when we got home, he was upset. And to help him out, I just told him what I do, and we both went into my room, and he I showed him how to clear his mind of all of those feelings, sort of meditate it out, and we just talked about it, We talked about how we felt, and he told me why he was feeling like that. And we sort of just helped each other out, and that's what I usually did. I would go into my room and just take 10 minutes out and turn the lights off and just look into my own mind and figure out why this is happening and what I should do about it. And I think all these feelings that you're feeling, you can't just let them sit there. You have to address them. So that would be my advice.
Well, thanks, Doc. Yeah. I think it's just time for me to just sit down and kind of calm it down. It just happens.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like your life's pretty hectic. So you just need to find some some slow time, some time for yourself. So there's my therapy session.
Hey everyone, sorry for the odd ending. We didn't really create a clear ending for this recording. However, what we do want to say is we hope you enjoyed the show, and the ones that we made before. We're constantly trying to evolve and try some new stuff with the show, but it's been a great time. At the same time, we plan on putting up a new episode next week. But if you still want a bit of that tangent nonsense in your life, then you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Tangent Pod. And if you want to support us, you can go to our website, The Tangent Podcast, so you can donate to us on Patreon. But anyway, until then, this is Yjang signing out. Peace.